The world will break you. Unless you become ruthless, Machiavelli, the world will not pity you. It will test you, bend you, and if you remain naive, it will break you without hesitation. This is the truth Machiavelli whispered centuries ago. A truth most people refuse to hear because it shatters their illusions about kindness, fairness, and morality. You were told that being good would protect you, that sincerity would open doors, that patience would be rewarded. But look closely. How many kind souls have been crushed by those they trusted? How many patient hearts have been forgotten by time? Machiavelli saw it clearly. The world does not move for those who wait. It moves for those who dare to take, to calculate, to act with precision when others hesitate. Being ruthless does not mean being cruel. It means refusing to be destroyed by those who mistake your goodness for weakness. It means mastering the silent art of power, knowing when to hold your words, when to strike, and when to disappear into the shadows while others reveal their moves. The world respects what it fears. And if you want to survive it, not merely survive, but rise, you must learn to wear your softness beneath an armor of control. You must stop begging life to be gentle and start becoming the kind of force that bends it in your favor. The truth is, no one will come to save you. Not your friends, not fate, not luck. Life will only begin to favor you when you learn to navigate it as Machiavelli did, with eyes unclouded by emotion, and with a will too sharp to be manipulated. In a world where people disguise cowardice as virtue, ruthlessness is not evil, it's evolution. It's how the soul protects itself from those who would devour it. When Machiavelli wrote The Prince, he wasn't teaching tyranny. He was exposing how power actually works beneath the surface of morality. He understood that mercy without strength is meaningless, that love without boundaries invites betrayal. He knew that the only way to endure the cruelty of life was to master it. And that's what you're here to learn. How to stand unshaken while the world trembles around you. How to be both compassionate and unbreakable. How to keep your heart pure without letting it be preyed upon. This video will reveal the lost art of strategic ruthlessness. How to think, act and respond in ways that protect your energy, elevate your influence, and restore your inner authority. Stay until the end, because I'll share a truth that very few ever face. A revelation Machiavelli himself encoded in silence. Before we begin, I want you to write this in the comments. The world will not break me, because from this moment forward, that is your vow, your awakening. Now take a breath, and let's begin. When Niccolò Machiavelli wrote The Prince in the 16th century, he lived in a world of deception, shifting alliances, and ruthless ambition. Florence was not a peaceful city of art and beauty as history often paints it. It was a battlefield of minds. Power changed hands overnight, loyalty was a performance, and mercy was often a death sentence. In this chaos, Machiavelli observed something few dared to admit. Goodness by itself was not enough to survive. He saw that men praised virtue publicly, yet rewarded cunning privately. He understood that appearances ruled reality, that truth without strategy was powerless. That is why his teachings sound harsh even today, because they expose the laws of human nature that most people prefer to hide beneath polite words and moral theater. Philosophically, Machiavelli was not teaching evil. He was teaching lucidity. He revealed the anatomy of influence, how fear, perception, and control shape every interaction between people, from the courts of princes to the quiet dynamics of everyday life. His insight was not that humans are bad, but that they are driven by self-interest disguised as morality. He stripped away illusions to show how fragile human virtue becomes when tested by hunger, envy, or fear. To him, understanding darkness was not corruption, it was survival. And survival in his eyes was the highest form of intelligence. Psychologically, Machiavelli anticipated what modern thinkers like Carl Jung would later call the shadow, the part of the psyche that we repress to appear good, yet which secretly governs our reactions. When you deny your shadow, you become predictable, weak, and easily manipulated. But when you confront it, when you learn to integrate your darkness consciously, you stop being a puppet. You begin to command yourself. And that is what true ruthlessness means. Not cruelty toward others, but sovereignty over your own impulses. Machiavelli's world mirrors ours more than we like to admit. Today's politics, corporations, and even personal relationships still revolve around manipulation, image, and perception. We live in an age that worships empathy publicly but rewards dominance privately. People still smile while they compete, still betray under the mask of virtue. Machiavelli saw through that mask. He understood that power, when wielded without wisdom, destroys, but when combined with awareness, it liberates. The tragedy of our era is that we've mistaken passivity for goodness and courage for aggression. We tell people to be kind, but we never teach them to be strong. We praise forgiveness, but never explain how to protect the heart that forgives. This imbalance is why so many good people break. Machiavelli's wisdom, stripped of centuries of fear and misinterpretation, offers a remedy: to awaken, to see clearly, and to live strategically without losing your soul. Because the one who sees the truth beneath appearances cannot be broken, only sharpened. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world reveals its true nature, not through words, but through silence, disappointment, and betrayal. That is when you realize something Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Life does not reward purity, it rewards perception. Those who survive, who rise, who lead, they do not necessarily possess the kindest hearts, but the clearest vision. They understand that power is not evil. It is simply neutral energy shaped by intention. And if you refuse to learn how to channel it, someone else will use it against you. Machiavelli's concept of ruthlessness begins with self-awareness. Before you can master others, you must first master your own weakness. The parts of you that crave approval, that fear conflict, that avoid pain. Because the truth is brutal, the world exploits hesitation. Every time you hesitate to draw boundaries, to speak truth, or to demand respect, you silently teach others how to misuse you. To be ruthless, in the Machiavellian sense, is not to harm. It is to refuse to be harmed by your own illusions. Principle 1. Control the image, not the emotion. Machiavelli taught that perception governs reality. He said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The wise understand this paradox. Your power lies not in what you feel, but in what you project. You can be terrified, but if your posture radiates calm, the world believes you're in control. You can be burning inside, but if your tone remains measured, your enemies will see composure, not chaos. The mistake of most people is to seek authenticity without discipline. They confuse emotional honesty with emotional exposure. Ruthlessness means learning when to show your cards and when to fold them close. It's understanding that emotions are sacred within, but strategic without. Principle 2. Never argue. Influence. Machiavelli warned that argument is the weapon of the powerless. The strong persuade not with noise, but with silence and timing. He observed that truth spoken in the wrong moment becomes weakness. This is why the ruthless learn to read the rhythm of conversation like a battlefield. They wait for the emotional tide to rise and then plant their ideas subtly as if they were the listener's own. To argue is to beg for validation. To influence is to lead perception. And the one who controls perception controls outcome. The wise do not shout. They plant seeds in silence and let others water them unknowingly. Principle 3. Protect your inner fortress. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote that every ruler must build 2 fortresses, one of stone and one of mind. The first guards the body, the second guards the soul. The modern world attacks not with swords but with opinions. If your sense of worth depends on approval, you're already conquered. To be ruthless means to become self-sufficient in spirit, to reach a state where no praise intoxicates you and no insult destabilizes you. It's emotional sovereignty, not arrogance. The ability to move through chaos without needing external validation. Because every reaction is a leash and every leash is a silent form of control. Principle 4. Never outshine your master, but always study him. This law, which Robert Greene later echoed, originates from Machiavelli's keen observation of human insecurity. He saw that people prefer to feel superior, even to those they depend on. If you reveal your brilliance too soon, they'll feel threatened and destroy you before you rise. The ruthless understand the art of strategic humility. They play small until the field is theirs. They let others speak first, reveal themselves and build comfort. Then, when the moment is ripe, they strike with quiet precision. This is not deception, it's patience. The serpent waits not because it fears, but because it calculates. Principle 5. Learn to use kindness as a weapon. Machiavelli often said that love is unreliable, but fear is controllable. Yet he also knew that appearing merciful, loyal, and kind was a more subtle form of control. The key is not to abandon kindness, but to direct it with intent. Ruthlessness means giving not out of guilt, but out of strength. When you help others, do it with awareness, not naivety. Be generous, but observe. Be forgiving, but never forget patterns. Because kindness without discernment is self-sabotage. Machiavelli's princes offered mercy only when it strengthened their position. And in your own life, compassion should never cost you your dignity. So pause here and reflect. How many times have you mistaken weakness for goodness? How many times have you given second chances to those who saw your forgiveness as permission to repeat their harm? Machiavelli would ask you this: do you truly act from virtue or from the fear of being disliked? That is the invisible chain that binds the modern soul, the addiction to being seen as good. But the truth is, the world does not remember the harmless. It remembers the resilient. Principle 6. Control time, master the delay, the weak rush, the strong wait. Timing, Machiavelli wrote, is the weapon of kings. In every interaction, there's a hidden tempo, the heartbeat of opportunity. The ruthless are never in a hurry to speak, to decide, or to reveal. They observe patterns, emotions, and power dynamics until they can strike decisively, without waste. Every impulsive reaction feeds someone else's strategy. Every silence you hold builds psychological weight. When you control time, you control narrative. And those who rush become actors in your story without realizing it. Principle 7. Expect betrayal as a natural law. One of Machiavelli's most disturbing insights is that betrayal is not the exception. It's the rule. He saw loyalty as temporary, always dependent on interest, fear, or gain. To expect loyalty from those who cannot even be loyal to themselves is foolish. The ruthless do not grow bitter when betrayed. They grow precise. They keep records, not resentment. They see betrayal not as tragedy, but as information, proof of human nature in motion. Once you understand this, nothing surprises you. You move through life prepared, not paranoid. You stop expecting decency and start mastering discernment. Principle 8. Cultivate mystery. Machiavelli warned that predictability breeds contempt. When people think they understand you, they lower their guard. But mystery keeps them cautious, and caution is respect. To be ruthless is to remain unreadable. The modern world tells you to share everything, to express endlessly, to be transparent. But too much transparency is spiritual suicide. Keep your vision silent, your moves invisible, your evolution private. Those who talk too much about transformation rarely achieve it. The most dangerous power is the one no one sees until it's already complete. Principle 9. Detach from the need to be understood. Every great mind, from Machiavelli to Nietzsche, faced misunderstanding. The crowd always misreads those who rise above its comfort. You must accept this as the price of clarity. Ruthlessness is the art of walking alone, not in arrogance but in peace. Once you release the need for others to agree with your truth, you gain immense freedom. You stop explaining yourself to those who can't perceive your depth. You stop defending your values in rooms unworthy of them. Machiavelli was exiled, humiliated, forgotten. Yet his ideas survived 5 centuries because truth does not need permission to endure. Principle 10. Be the storm and the shelter. The ultimate balance of ruthlessness lies in duality. You must be capable of destruction and healing, coldness and compassion, detachment and devotion, all in the right measure. Power without empathy breeds tyranny. Empathy without power breeds victimhood. Machiavelli's wisdom was not to glorify one or the other, but to unite both. The storm cleanses the air, but the shelter protects the soul. You must become both, the one who can strike when provoked, and the one who can remain calm when chaos surrounds you. When you reach this balance, the world cannot break you, because you have already faced your own inner fracture and made peace with it. You are no longer afraid of loss, rejection, or misunderstanding. You no longer seek control through others, but through your own mastery. You begin to understand that ruthlessness is not about taking life. It's about refusing to waste it. Now pause again and ask yourself, when was the last time you acted out of fear instead of strength? When did you say yes when your spirit whispered no? The answer reveals your current state of power. Machiavelli's world was filled with soldiers, assassins, and kings, but your battlefield is internal. A war between the part of you that wants peace and the part that demands control. To be ruthless is to make peace your weapon, not your weakness. When Machiavelli looked at the world, he saw not chaos but a silent order, an invisible logic that punished those who refused to see it. His realism was brutal because it was true. He believed that people who cling to illusions will always be ruled by those who face reality as it is. And so, to survive, to lead, you must learn to see without the filter of emotion. You must accept that the world is not built to protect you. It is built to test you. Those who pass its tests are not the kindest, but the most conscious. The hidden paradox of power. True ruthlessness begins where fear ends. The irony is that those who fear being ruthless usually end up suffering more cruelty than those who embrace it. They are consumed by guilt, trapped by manipulation, and drained by those who sense their hesitation. The ruthless are not heartless. They are free from emotional slavery. They've learned to love without attachment, to help without self-destruction, and to walk away without bitterness. They know that sometimes mercy is cruelty in disguise, and that pain when ignored becomes a leash for others to pull. To master ruthlessness is to unlearn emotional dependency, to stop seeking external permission to act on your truth. Principle 11. Power demands distance. Machiavelli understood that proximity breeds contempt. When you make yourself too available, people stop valuing your presence. Your energy becomes common currency and your time loses its sacred weight. The ruthless protect their distance because they know that mystery multiplies worth. They are selective with access, not out of arrogance but self-respect. Power is not in doing everything for everyone. It is in making your presence meaningful through absence. The less you explain, the more they observe. The less you give, the more they desire. And that desire, Machiavelli would say, is the true root of influence. Principle 12. Emotion is a resource, not an identity. Modern culture glorifies emotional expression, but Machiavelli would call it indulgence. To him, emotion is information, not command. You can feel anger without becoming anger, experience love without losing reason. The ruthless are emotional alchemists. They transform feeling into fuel. When betrayed, they study the betrayal. When hurt, they dissect the cause. While others drown in emotion, they extract data from it. Machiavelli would say, "He who rules his passions rules the world." Emotional control is not repression, it's redirection. It's the art of channeling chaos into clarity. Principle 13. Influence is built, never demanded. The weak seek validation. The strong cultivate gravity. Machiavelli noticed that power flows naturally toward those who appear certain. People trust confidence more than truth. If you seem sure, even lies sound convincing. If you appear hesitant, even truth sounds doubtful. The ruthless understand this. They do not chase attention. They command it through presence. They walk into a room slowly, speak little, and observe long enough to know what everyone fears. That is where control begins. Not in dominance, but in awareness. Influence is not what you say. It's what others feel when you say nothing. Principle 14. Predict human weakness. But do not despise it. Machiavelli saw the full spectrum of human nature. Its greed, vanity, and frailty. Yet he did not hate it, he used it. He accepted that people are driven more by fear than reason, by desire more than morality. To despise this is to live in denial. To understand it is to gain leverage. Ruthlessness, therefore, is empathy without illusion. You can forgive the liar and still recognize the pattern. You can care for others without expecting them to rise above their instincts. When you understand the predictable nature of weakness, you stop taking betrayal personally. You start playing the game consciously. Principle 15. Your silence is a strategy, not a void. Machiavelli taught that words are dangerous. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. The truly powerful know when silence communicates more than speech. Every silence holds psychological tension. It forces others to reveal their thoughts, to interpret, to fill the void with their own anxiety. The ruthless master this art. They pause where others rush to explain. They observe the unease that grows in those who cannot handle stillness. And when they finally speak, their words strike with surgical precision. The weak speak to relieve tension. The strong let silence work for them. Principle 16. Loyalty is earned through necessity, not affection. In Machiavelli's world, affection was fragile, but necessity was enduring. People remain loyal not because they love you, but because they need you. The ruthless make themselves indispensable. They become the bridge others cannot cross without. This principle applies not only to politics but to life, in relationships, in work, even in friendship. If your value is emotional only, it can be replaced. But when your presence fulfills a vital purpose, your position becomes unshakable. To be needed is to be protected by circumstance. The wise build value that others depend upon, not pity they can withdraw. Principle 17. Use chaos as camouflage. Machiavelli knew that disorder blinds people. When the crowd panics, the observer gains clarity. While others drown in confusion, the ruthless move silently, adapting, watching, and recalibrating. In chaos, everyone reveals their true nature, their priorities, their loyalties, their fears. And that is the perfect moment to strike or withdraw. In times of instability, the calm one becomes godlike. Remember, when the world loses control, control itself becomes divine. Principle 18. The ruthless don't seek revenge, they outgrow it. Vengeance consumes energy that could be used for growth. Machiavelli wrote that the most intelligent form of revenge is success, to rise beyond the reach of those who wronged you. The ruthless do not chase closure. They create evolution. They turn pain into purpose and rejection into redirection. Their silence becomes their proof, their progress their punishment. Revenge is reactive. Mastery is divine. When you stop fighting for acknowledgement and start building your empire in silence, you become untouchable. Principle 19. The appearance of morality is more valuable than its practice. One of Machiavelli's most controversial lessons is that virtue in the eyes of the world must be performed. Society rewards image over truth. To be perceived as good is often more strategic than to be good in private. The ruthless understand this game. They align their image with virtue while keeping their intentions disciplined and hidden. It is not hypocrisy. It is psychological diplomacy. The world is not ready for raw truth. Appear moral to disarm it. Act with intent to direct it. Behind every leader who appears gentle lies a heart of calculation. Principle 20. The weakness of the modern soul. If Machiavelli could see today's world, he would not be surprised, only saddened. We have built a society allergic to discomfort, obsessed with validation and afraid of solitude. People seek safety in conformity, drowning their individuality in collective mediocrity. We glorify vulnerability without discipline, passion without purpose. We teach self-love but forget self-control. And so we crumble under the first sign of resistance. The world does not need more kindness. It needs strength guided by wisdom. The kind that can look into the face of cruelty and not flinch. The kind that can love deeply without losing boundaries. That is the essence of Machiavellian ruthlessness. Compassion without blindness, power without arrogance, detachment without apathy. Principle 21. Ruthlessness as enlightenment. To become ruthless in Machiavelli's sense is to awaken. It is to transcend the illusions of fairness and step into the reality of balance. The ruthless are not cruel. They are complete. They have integrated their light and their shadow, their logic and their emotion. They no longer seek to be liked. They seek to be effective. They no longer chase comfort. They chase truth. And truth, as Machiavelli knew, is not comfortable. It's liberating. When you reach this point, the world can no longer break you, because you no longer depend on it to define you. So, comment this phrase below if it resonates with you. My silence is my power. Let that be your reminder. The one who controls his silence controls his destiny. The world is built to test your composure, to tempt your ego, to lure you into reaction. But you are not here to react. You are here to reign over yourself. Before theory becomes transformation, it must descend into action. Machiavelli never wanted his philosophy to live only in books. He wanted it to breathe in the choices of those who understood power as a living force. To become ruthless in the modern world doesn't mean abandoning empathy or turning cold. It means cultivating the inner discipline that keeps your heart awake while your mind stays sharp. So, how do you embody Machiavellian strength without losing your humanity? How do you live in a world that constantly tries to manipulate your emotions, drain your energy, and distract your focus, yet remain composed, strategic, and sovereign? Let's turn his philosophy into daily practice. Imagine walking through life as a quiet observer. You no longer react instantly to what others say or do. You see their intentions, their insecurities, their subtle games, not with judgment, but with clarity. Every interaction becomes information. Every emotional trigger becomes a mirror. This is the mindset of the Machiavellian sage. Detached yet deeply aware. Firm yet compassionate. Ruthlessness in practice is emotional detachment combined with strategic engagement. You are not required to fight every battle, to explain every feeling, or to convince every skeptic. You are only required to master yourself. The world may still try to break you, but the difference now is that you will bend like steel, not shatter like glass. You will see manipulation coming long before it reaches you. You will act slowly, calmly, precisely as Machiavelli would say, measured in cruelty, and divine in timing. Practice 1. Emotional distance as power training. Begin by observing yourself throughout the day. Notice when your emotions are triggered. When someone disrespects you, ignores you, or disagrees with you, instead of reacting, pause. Ask, what is this teaching me about my attachment to control? Machiavelli would say that every reaction reveals a weakness that someone else can use. The ruthless practice non-reactivity, not out of indifference but out of wisdom. You must train yourself to see emotion as data. Breathe through discomfort instead of broadcasting it. The longer you can hold silence after provocation, the stronger your mind becomes. Do this for 1 week, and you'll begin to notice something profound. People's power over you begins to fade. Practice 2. Build the fortress of solitude. Machiavelli believed isolation was not loneliness. It was preparation. Every day, dedicate at least 30 minutes to solitude. No phone, no distraction. Just observation of thought. Solitude refines perception. It sharpens the sword of discernment. When you spend time alone, you begin to hear the difference between your true intuition and your emotional noise. The ruthless draw their strength from solitude because it breaks dependency. Those who cannot sit alone with themselves are doomed to seek validation forever. Make solitude sacred. Guard it as you would a throne. In that silence, strategies will form. Practice 3. Speak less, mean more. Your words are your currency of influence. Every unnecessary sentence you utter devalues your impact. Practice saying 50% less than usual in every conversation. Answer with calm precision. Do not rush to fill silence. Let others reveal themselves while you conserve energy. Machiavelli would advise, let your words be few, but your observations infinite. When you master restraint, others will begin to interpret your silence as depth. They will seek your approval subconsciously because mystery creates value. Remember, the less you say, the more they imagine. Practice 4. Transform pain into strategy. When betrayed or humiliated, most people collapse. But the Machiavellian mind sees opportunity even in pain. Write down the moment that hurt you most recently. Then instead of asking, why did this happen to me? I'd ask, what pattern does this reveal? Pain always exposes a blind spot, a place where you gave power away. Study it like a scientist. Analyze what emotional need made you vulnerable. Then design a boundary or strategy to ensure it never happens again. This is how pain evolves into wisdom. The ruthless never waste suffering. They convert it into insight. Practice 5. Master the art of psychological disengagement. There is an invisible energy exchange in every conversation. People project emotions onto you to provoke a response. The ruthless learn to absorb that energy without losing equilibrium. When someone tries to guilt you, stay still. When they attack, breathe slower. When they seek drama, give them calm. This reversal of expected reaction disarms them completely. They will lose control because their power depends on your participation. Psychological disengagement doesn't mean withdrawal. It means refusing to play the emotional game. As Machiavelli would say, he who stays unmoved governs the scene. Practice 6. The ritual of selective kindness. Kindness, when deliberate, becomes a tool of command. Every act of generosity must have clarity behind it. Ask yourself before helping someone, does this strengthen both of us or only drain me? Give, but with awareness. Refuse to enable weakness or manipulation disguised as need. When you say no, say it with serenity. A calm refusal often has more authority than a loud justification. Machiavelli believed mercy was powerful only when used sparingly. Be like rain in the desert, rare but unforgettable. Practice 7. Strategic detachment in relationships. Ruthlessness also applies to love, friendship, and family, not as coldness but as emotional discipline. You can care deeply without losing boundaries. You can forgive without reopening the door. You can love while remaining observant of behavior rather than words. People often confuse connection with obligation. Machiavelli would remind you that true affection must be balanced with sovereignty. If someone tries to control you through emotion, step back. When they see that guilt no longer moves you, they will either evolve or reveal their true nature. Both outcomes serve your growth. Practice 8. Control your energy. Like currency every day, ask yourself, where is my energy going? Machiavelli would compare your attention to the wealth of a prince. If you spend it on trivial pursuits, you become spiritually bankrupt. The ruthless allocate their energy like investors, a little toward work, a little toward rest, and much toward self-mastery. They are not stingy but intentional. Your time, attention, and focus are royal resources. Spend them only on what yields growth, influence, or inner clarity. Withdraw from gossip, pointless debate, and emotional drama. They are all taxes on your power. Practice 9. Emotional anticipation. Predict. Don't react. Spend 10 minutes daily reflecting on potential challenges of the coming day. Visualize possible conflicts, criticisms, or disappointments. Then, imagine your calm response to each. This technique, psychological premeditation, prepares you to act with composure instead of shock. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, and Machiavelli practiced it in politics constantly. Anticipation transforms reaction into strategy. It's how the ruthless remain calm when others panic, because they've already met every possible outcome in their minds. Practice 10. Become a mirror of reality. Machiavelli's final secret was to become what he observed: adaptable, fluid, ever aware. He advised rulers to learn how not to be good and use that knowledge when necessity requires. This does not mean immorality. It means flexibility. If you cling to ideals when reality shifts, you break. But if you mirror reality without losing your moral compass, you master the dance of life. Every day remind yourself, the world owes me nothing. I owe myself awareness. That sentence alone will prevent 90% of emotional suffering. Integrating the Machiavellian mind. 400 words. To integrate these practices is to reshape how you move through life. You stop chasing approval because you've built self-validation. You stop fearing betrayal because you've expected it. You stop drowning in emotion because you've learned to observe it. Slowly, you become what Machiavelli described: the calm within the storm. Your eyes sharpen. Your tone slows. People begin to sense something different in you. An aura of grounded authority, the kind that commands respect without demand. This is the reward of conscious ruthlessness. It's not dominance, it's dignity. You no longer need the world to change because you've changed your response to it. As your awareness grows, you'll notice subtle transformations. Situations that once triggered you now amuse you. Manipulators expose themselves effortlessly. You no longer explain your value, you embody it. Your silence begins to intimidate, not because it's hostile, but because it's controlled. You move through life like a chess player. Every gesture intentional, every word weighted. Before long, you'll realize the ultimate secret. Ruthlessness is not the absence of heart. It's the purification of it. It's removing all that is weak, fearful, and desperate until only truth remains. You become simultaneously gentle and unyielding, compassionate and precise. You stop fearing the cruelty of the world because you've learned to stand taller than it. Now take a deep breath. Look at your reflection. Ask yourself one question. What part of me still pleads for permission to exist? That part is where your transformation must begin. If you've reached this far, comment this phrase below. My calm is my weapon. Let it be your anchor, because once you've learned to master your inner storm, no one can use it against you again. There is a quiet moment that arrives after you've seen through everything. When the noise of the world fades and only truth remains. It is not peace in the soft sense, but peace forged in fire, the kind that comes after collapse, after you've watched illusions die one by one. That is where Machiavelli lived, in the silence after deception, in the clarity that follows betrayal. He understood what few ever do, that the world will not meet you with fairness, only with opportunity disguised as struggle. And if you are not prepared, if you cling to the comfort of naive ideals, it will crush you under the weight of your own good intentions. Ruthlessness then is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is the strength to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. When you become ruthless, you stop negotiating with reality. You stop pleading for mercy from systems that were never designed to protect you. You start playing the long game, calmly, deliberately, silently, like a sculptor shaping destiny with his bare hands. And soon you realize that those who once seemed powerful are merely loud, while true strength moves in silence. The loud control moments, the silent control eras. Machiavelli's wisdom endures not because it flatters human nature, but because it exposes it. He understood that the soul that wishes to stay pure must learn to walk among shadows without becoming one. You cannot heal a world you don't understand. You cannot lead people whose nature you refuse to accept. The ruthless are not pessimists. They are lucid. They've seen that every human being carries both light and darkness, and that denying either is a form of blindness. The world will break those who live in denial, but it will serve those who live in truth. The cruel irony of life is that good people often suffer more, not because of fate, but because of their refusal to adapt. They believe that integrity means submission, that love means forgiveness without boundaries, that humility means silence in the face of injustice. But in truth, integrity is knowing when to stand firm, love is knowing when to detach, and humility is knowing when to walk away. The ruthless are not born with special gifts. They are born again through pain. They've learned through experience that being feared by the unjust is safer than being loved by the ungrateful. This transformation begins quietly. It starts when you stop chasing explanations from those who wronged you, when you stop defending your intentions to those who are committed to misunderstanding you, when you stop justifying your worth to those who never valued it. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you withhold your energy from meaningless battles, you strengthen your aura. The world may still throw storms at you, but storms cannot harm mountains. You must understand this truth. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the sculptor of wisdom. It teaches boundaries that comfort never could. Every betrayal refines you. Every failure carves discipline into your soul. Every disappointment burns away weakness. The ruthless are not unfeeling. They've simply learned to let pain educate them instead of destroy them. When you embrace pain as a teacher, you begin to grow beyond the reach of those who still run from it. But there is a deeper revelation, one that Machiavelli hinted at but never spoke aloud. Ruthlessness, when fully realized, becomes compassion. Because when you no longer seek control, you no longer need to manipulate. When you are no longer afraid, you no longer need to dominate. You become kind, not because you are weak, but because you are unthreatened. This is the final stage of power, effortless presence. You can smile at enemies without malice, forgive betrayal without bitterness, and walk away from chaos without pride. The ruthless soul does not crave victory, it embodies it. To live this way is to enter a state of divine detachment. You no longer fight to be seen or understood. You no longer measure success by applause or agreement. You move with purpose, not noise. Your silence becomes your crown. Your peace becomes your armor. And your understanding of human nature becomes your greatest weapon. Not to exploit, but to remain free. Because when you know how the game is played, you can choose when to play and when to transcend it entirely. Machiavelli's tragedy was that the world mistook his wisdom for wickedness. But perhaps that was inevitable, for truth always sounds cruel to those still living in illusion. He did not corrupt humanity, he merely described it. And if you dare to look at life with the same unflinching honesty, you will discover what he discovered, that power is neither good nor evil. It simply reveals who you are. The question is, who are you when the masks fall? When you are no longer protected by words, approval, or pretense, what remains? That is where ruthlessness begins. In that raw encounter with yourself, when you strip away everything false and stand naked before your own truth, that is when you realize that no one can break you, because you no longer hide from what you are. If the world must be ruthless, then let your ruthlessness be sacred. Let it be the clarity that protects your spirit, the strength that guards your compassion, and the silence that keeps your peace. The world will continue to test you, to challenge your boundaries, to tempt your weakness, to demand your reaction. But you, my friend, will not bend easily anymore, because you now understand. Every moment is a negotiation between power and perception. Every word you speak is either investment or loss. Every silence, a kingdom in waiting. So when life becomes cruel, when people disappoint you, when betrayal cuts deep, remember this: the world will break those who beg for fairness, but it will kneel before those who master themselves. Ruthlessness is not a rejection of love, it's the evolution of it. It's love fortified by wisdom, compassion armed with discernment, faith purified by fire. It is the merging of strength and stillness, the divine balance Machiavelli sensed but never named. Now, take one last breath. Feel it deepen into your chest. You are not broken. You were being forged. Everything that felt like destruction was actually initiation. The world will continue to test your limits, but this time, it will find that your spirit has no edge it can pierce. If these words resonated with you, write this in the comments. The world will not break me. I have become the storm. And remember, storms do not apologize for their power. They clear the air for new life to grow. Stay strong, stay lucid, stay silent, and let the world witness what it cannot destroy.